Hey there, I'm Bob Bickle, and this is the town hall, and it's a time when you can ask me anything. First off, thanks for attending today. Thank you to Johanna for putting this all together. I feel like it was a pretty successful day. I feel like I kind of popped in and out of pretty much every session, and it seemed like people were engaged and people were learning and asking questions. So that was really good. I'm in our little conference room here. That's Amanda Sweet, and that's Allison. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Allison, what's the first question? And this is kind of preloaded, this first question.
Yeah, I'll just say in your GoToWebinar module, there's a questions box. You can type in any questions that you want Bob to answer. But just to start, I was wondering if you could give us all an update on what's happening in the endurance industry. What are you seeing?
Why it so happens that I pay extraordinarily close attention to this. So I have a little KPIs document that I use to track things, and I kind of update this on a weekly basis. And the first 18 weeks of the pandemic, I put out a blog every Sunday morning based upon the stats that were collected here. I've transitioned to a monthly blog now. So sometime in the first week of September, I'll put out a blog that will talk about kind of our observations and things like that. We're a kind of a techie company, and so we are very numbers type of driven, very analytical in our approach. So, and we're also very open in our approach. So we share kind of a lot of our numbers. So this spreadsheet has like a list of the weekly transactions in 2019 and 2020, and the percentage change. It also has this little thing off to the right, which is how much of that transaction volume was done by the top 50 events, and how much was done by under the top 50 events. But this one over here, kind of, if you look at this blue chart, what you see in the blue chart is kind of how things transpired over the weeks. So this is mid March type time frame, and the volume was down by about 80% at this point in time. We've recovered to being down kind of in the 20-25% type of range more recently. This chart here kind of shows you the red line is this year and the blue line is last year. So we were killing it before March 7th. We were up 29% year to date at that point in time. So the fact that we're down like 20-25% is good, but it's probably also better than most in the industry. Eventbrite publicly talks about still being down 75% in July at their last quarterly update. And the reason that we're doing kind of better than most is this chart here. So if you look at the blue number, it's the non-virtual, it's the real races. And so right now that's making up about 25% of our weekly volume. Virtual races are making 50 to 55%. And then challenges, they kind of bump around depending upon the time of the month and stuff. So at month changes, they kind of increase because a lot of challenges will start on the first of a month. So you'll have a bunch of people sign up right before and right after things start. So challenges are making up about 20% of our business. Virtual races about 55, and non-virtual about 25%. And then the other thing that's happening to us is that if you look at this chart on the right-hand side, the blue line here is the usual number of renewed races that happen for us on a weekly basis. So we typically will renew, like last year, we renewed, about 200, 250 races per week. And this year we're renewing really low amounts up until recently. And this might be a factor of us. We were kind of hiding the renew buttons and stuff like that. We started to expose those again because we wanted people to be a little bit more thoughtful than just hitting the green renew button in the past. But the really interesting thing is this red line here. So you can see, like, early in the year, as I said, we were kind of killing it. But then it really dropped because nobody was doing anything. But then it's really been, on average, somewhere around 70% ahead of where we were last year in terms of the number of new races. So last week, there were 418 new races created on our platform. And so that gives you a feel for kind of what's happening from the numbers that we see. Anecdotally, it aligns exactly with this. So we see a lot of organizations shifting from, real races to virtual races. We see some organizations being able to pull off smaller in-person events. We had sessions on that today and had a couple of guest speakers talking about that. It's going to be really interesting to see how the sports backers experiment goes down with the Richmond Marathon and Monument Avenue, where they're basically going to have real races that are open for an entire week. They're going to leverage Racejoy, and they're going to leverage kind of automated, self-timed mats and things like that. So it's going to be really interesting to see about how that happens. Megan talked about that in the session, and you can rewatch that. I would highly recommend if you're into trying to figure out how to put on large races of 20,000 people. It's an interesting concept that they've come up with. So that's what's happening, Allison. Do you have any other topics?
Sure. Can you talk a bit about the pricing changes that are happening in September and what our customers need to know about that?
Yeah, so what happens on September 1st at midnight, our pricing is going to change. And so the new pricing is actually simplified. It's $1 per transaction, not per person, plus 5.8%. And that goes up to $250. Above that, it falls to 4.9% or 4.8%. And then at $1,000, it falls to 3.9%. And donations remain at a flat 4%, right? And so what's going to be the trigger for when that pricing takes effect is if you set up a race today, that race will carry today's pricing. If you set up a race at 12:01 on September 1st, you'll get the new pricing. If you renew a race today, you will get the current pricing for the length of that race. And if you set up a race on September, or if you renew a race on 12:01 on September 1st, you'll get the new pricing.
Can you just talk through an example with a $10 registration fee and how the pricing for processing fees would change with the price change, just so we can make it a bit more understandable?
Yeah, so what generally we're trying to do is to lower the cost for lower priced events. It has the effect of raising the price for mid-range events and then, or for mid-size transaction checkouts. And then that kind of tapers off back down to zero at the high end. So that's kind of the general strategy. And part of that is something that kind of always bothered us is that our pricing for $10 events used to be $2. It will now be $1.58 or something like that. So all that pricing kind of decreases at the low end of actually at $11, it's even more striking. It used to be $2.50. And the logic behind this is twofold. One is that we want to be accommodative of more low price events in the current environment. And we also want to be accommodative of and aggressive actually in low end events for nonprofits as we move into the GiveSignup and nonprofit ticket event business. So that's one angle at it. The second angle at it is that we need to kind of the net of it all will slightly increase the net amount of money that we make off of it. So not to try to hide behind our finger or anything. But that's so that we can pay for some of these other services that we've decided to make free during this during the pandemic. So we used to charge $1 for processing refunds. We've permanently removed that. We also used to charge $1 for doing texting services, and we've permanently removed that as well. There's some other extra costs that are kind of being incurred these days by us, but basically, you know, we think that we have a fair offering at a fair value in the marketplace, and it will certainly be a much easier pricing pricing mechanism to understand.
I have a question about pricing. Will a shift from a live event to a virtual event change the pricing at all, or is it going to stay the same?
No, everything's the same. And it doesn't matter if it's a nonprofit ticket event or if it's a virtual race or a virtual challenge or a real race. The pricing is consistent. We're trying to keep things like really simple. So hopefully we get there with this change.
Cool. And then a couple Racejoy questions. Can you talk a little bit about Racejoy pricing? Is that going to be changing?
So we are moving to a model where you will not be able to buy Racejoy from us. You'll only be able to buy it from a certified timer. And the reason is that the only way, you know, to make Racejoy really work, you need to configure it. And trying to do that on a first time basis, you need a ton of support. And so what we've decided to do is to utilize the timers who are certified timers and part of our partner program to be the people that deliver Racejoy. So you'll be paying your timer for the use of Racejoy. And so you need to engage with your timer to figure out what their price is going to be. And we're not going to set or dictate a price to them. We do have suggested pricing, and you'll work with your timer to implement Racejoy on that. And you know what we're seeing is we're having massive adoption of Racejoy these days. And if we were supporting it, we're already kind of flooding ourselves and our support team and our account managers and our salespeople with all those new races I just showed you coming in. We would not be able to service all of the Racejoy races that are coming in. There's probably a couple hundred per week or something like that. So it's ridiculous.
So to make Racejoy even more complicated, people have heard rumors about Racejoy for challenges. What is the timeline and what's going on with that?
James, if you're listening, come on, get it done. So one of the things that just got released a few days ago is an activity API. So now any application can post activities to the challenge platform. So if Strava or Runkeeper or some other application wanted to post activity, they'd be able to do that very easily. So it's basically an extension of our results API that countless software vendors and people have used for years. So what's happening right now is that the Racejoy team, led by the remarkable James Harris, is adding that activity-based logging to Racejoy. And what this means is that you'll be able to go out and run with your app, and Racejoy will be able to easily post that that run or that ride up to the challenge.
Cool. So one of the screenshots that I updated in the Quick Hits presentation was some new photo album. So I don't know if any of the sessions specifically covered it today, but last symposium, we talked a lot about updates to our photo platform. So could you give us a quick demo of what's been happening?
Well, first off, you know I'm a tech guy and I love the infrastructure. So I got to tell you that what we did is we moved all 4 million photos from 5,000 races from one infrastructure.
Ryan's on the webinar.
To a different
So
infrastructure.
Ryan.
we as in Ryan did this. The collective we. It's like we're gonna come out with Racejoy posting for challenges. Yeah, the collective we. But we moved all of that to a much more modern, much more flexible infrastructure. And it was son of a gun, it was successful. Even Ryan was surprised. So what that has allowed us to do is it has allowed us to start making a bunch of changes to photos. And we're like maybe a quarter of the way through of the changes. But let me show you some cool stuff. So this is the photos page on a random 5K that like a real live 5K that happened this past weekend. And you see that we've kind of renamed things and kind of made them a lot prettier looking. So the albums now, and you can name these albums anything. And what you'll soon be able to do is kind of arrange your albums and arrange photos within albums and things like that. So a typical use case for our photo platform in the past was, you know, you would position photographers at different points on the course or at different times on the course. And you would take photos and then you would upload them. And that's how we got to 4 million plus photos on the platform. So the Scott Coffee race is a race that we've turned on the ability for individuals to upload photos. So when I go to that same page on the Scott Coffee race, you see I now have this add photos to your album. So I'm being invited as an individual that participated in the race to upload photos. And it's really easy to upload photos. I just click on it and upload, and that works on a phone, and it's pretty nice and slick. The other thing, eventually what you'll see on results is you'll actually see a little thumbnail by people that have it. I know Steven, our CTO, ran this race, and I know he has some photos. So the individual results page, if there are photos of the individual, it will show those photos. And for those that aren't familiar, in the old days, when people ran real races, they would wear physical bibs, and we have the technology on our photo platform to kind of recognize the bib numbers and to say, oh, this is Steven's. In the new age, there's just virtual photos. So there's no photographer for the race. So participants are just uploading photos. And the Million Miles for Justice challenge that had like over 250,000 miles, I think they did. So they're about to open phase 2 of this challenge and try to keep adding to the total. But this race had hundreds and hundreds of people uploading photos. And I'll show one more to you. It's this Boston to Bar Harbor. I really like this Boston to Bar Harbor challenge. They've developed these custom badges that look like this thing up here. It's pretty cool. But when you upload as an individual, your photo is actually going to be tagged to you. So I know there's this guy, David Rodzinski, and so if I start typing in his name, it actually finds him. I click on his name, and here's all of his photos. And if I hover over them, I can share them easily on Facebook or download a high resolution version and stuff like that. And what we're seeing is that there's some like competitive virtual triathlons, and they're having their people upload whatever their app screen shot is. So here he uploaded a pretty low resolution. I'm not sure why that looks that way. Ryan, We didn't do that. It's either the user or Ryan. They can upload maps or workouts and things like that. So so that's kind of a quick view on the photos. And we're going to be exposing this more and more in more and more places. So you're going to start seeing kind of photo buttons pop up. You're going to see kind of improved mechanisms for managing photos. One of the things that we don't have yet, but Phil is working on diligently, is basically a review cycle. So like if someone sees an inappropriate image, they can flag it and it gets hidden, and then a race director can approve. We'll have some screens to approve photos and things like that.
Have a different question. Do races, challenges, RunSignup, and GiveSignup meet web content accessibility guidelines? And I was kind of thinking about this blog that happened, that Kiesel wrote back in 2019 about our accessibility journey. So maybe you can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, there's actually, if you type in accessibility and figure out how to spell it, there's actually two blogs. There's a good blog that Kiesel wrote, like Allison said, in 2019, and actually the story kind of goes back before this. One of Johanna's friends, probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, became a race director and has visual impairment and uses RunSignup. And we had done a bunch of work to make the dashboard visually accessible, kind of, sort of. And then Jeff and Darren, who lead the UX team here, really took they took it as a passion project to try to make the system more and more accessible. And so we have a standard now that any new UX that goes into production needs to pass a set of accessibility testing. And Google has some really nice accessibility testing types of tools. We've gotten to the point where most of the site is really quite useful. And Jeff has this one really interesting blog that talks about one of our visually impaired users and kind of really learning what it's like to, be visually impaired and try to use an online tool. There are a bunch of web standards and guidelines, and we try to adhere to those as best we can. To be officially certified, we don't do that because you would have to hire an outside auditor, and they would have to certify all of your user pages. And there's two challenges with that. One is on our race dashboard, we have over 300 pages. And then the other challenge is that because each of you can design your own pages however you want and pick whatever colors you want, some of you do that in a very crappy, inaccessible way. And seriously, I would recommend, if you're a race director, that you be cognizant about this, to use the Google tool to just do a quick run on your cover page and things like that. It's really quick and easy to do. And one of the blogs actually has a nice video of a visually impaired person that shows what it's like. And basically what's happening is that there's a speaker that's reading the text that's kind of hidden behind each of those buttons you see on a screen that goes really, really fast. And but that's what they're using to guide themselves around a screen. So it's something we care a lot about. And I think Jeff has a score in the blog of 97 out of 100, which is pretty good.
Cool. So this is more of a question from me. But we've been seeing some GitHub tickets and chat about USA Cycling. So can you chat a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah, so we're trying to work with USA Cycling to do some integration work with them. And there's kind of a couple of pieces of that. One piece is to include their waiver, so that kind of, you'll have your race waiver and they'll have a waiver. And this really got driven by a large cycling race that's doing a virtual version of it. And so we've worked with USA Cycling to get this done for them. Along with that, USA Cycling publishes their member list to select people. And so Jonathan, not we, Jonathan, since Allison's calling me out here, Jonathan is currently working on this USAC integration.
Well, he's on the webinar right now.
He's on the webinar? Yeah. Okay. And Jonathan's going to have this done tomorrow. No, it's going to be a few weeks. But basically, we're utilizing our membership platform to store all of the member numbers from USA Cycling. So we'll be able to, and we've had this feature for a long time. When you sign up for a race, you can, give a discount for a club, or you can, charge, something different, and you can have them sign up for the club and stuff like that. So we're going to be kind of extending that technology with USAC specifically in mind. It's like, I'm really excited about it. I'm excited that USAC is opening up for this. I think it's great. One of the things that makes me really excited is it's very synergistic with all of our strategy, but especially on the GiveSignup side, because there are a lot of cycling events that are fundraising, have a lot of fundraising components to them. So.
Do you want to give everyone an update on shipping, because that's a really increasingly critical part of virtual race and virtual challenge operations? So what is RunSignup, GiveSignup doing to make that easier for our customers?
We are working on that, meaning that Rich Sabaro, who has been part-time with us and is joining us full-time in September, and is a really talented software developer, a guy that I've worked with at a different company for about the past 20 years or something like that. Rich, if you're on, yeah, we're getting old. But he actually comes from a company that ships like 1,000 items a day and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of shipping experience. So he's going to take responsibility for this area. And what we have that's just about to ship in terms of our software code is the ability to specify a shipping price on a per state and per country basis, and to also include exclusions in that. So what I could do is very simply just say, okay, my shipping price is $9.95 and one and done, right? But what I could do is I could set a shipping price of, say, $7 for the continental US. If it's going to Alaska, it could be $15, Hawaii, $15. And if it's shipping to international, it's going to be, $35 or something like that. And you'll be able to do that on a per country basis, and you'll be able to exclude on a per country or per state basis. So maybe you just want to keep your shipping really simple. You don't expect anybody from Alaska or Hawaii to sign up, and those are expensive places to ship to. So you're just going to turn it on and exclude those two states as well as the rest of the world. If you're a race like the CRAW, the circumpolar virtual race around the world, from LAS, you may want to turn it on for everybody, but charge that different price for, when you have to send something to England. But you still may want to exclude countries like, Iran or something like that. Oh, and I'm going to keep talking about shipping because it is kind of critically important. There's a couple of other small tasks that are going to happen. There's going to be international shipping validation. and some better label printing and stuff like that. But one of the things we're going to do before we do more stuff on shipping is we're actually going to take a step back. And we're going to implement kind of a next gen add-on store capability. So people that have been with us for a long time on the race side know that we originally had a store and then we came out with add-ons, and those are kind of two separate things. When we built tickets, we built a new combo store add-on and set up the infrastructure to be an Uber capability of all of that. So the next major project Rich is going to be taking on is basically moving all the ticket store stuff, store/add-on stuff into RunSignup. We'll call that version 2. And you'll still have the old stuff and you'll have this new capability. And the new capability has some features that are a lot cooler than what is currently there. So it has multiple variants. So I could have, you know, a size as well as a color as well as a shape or something. And you can, so it has a bunch of nice features associated with it, but it doesn't have all the features that are in RunSignup today. So that will kind of merge together. And then once we have the foundation of that, we'll start doing a lot more in terms of tracking inventory and integrating with other shipping software. But we didn't want to kind of waste the time, and we wanted to do it the right way. And, you know, so hopefully by the turn of the year, we'll have kick-ass, you know, store and shipping types of capabilities and some more stuff that'll probably carry on into next year too.
This question is a real question from a customer. But it says, I live in a bit of a RunSignup bubble, which is how you should live.
You think you do? My daughter works at this company. The only thing that protects me from my bubble is my wife, who doesn't really, she keeps saying, what do you do?
Do you have any insight into what other tech platforms are doing to create a better virtual experience, like with the GPS tracking, like Racejoy or virtual results hosting?
You know, I really do live in a RunSignup bubble as well. I, as a rule, do not go out and look at our competitors. I kind of have a rule. Hopefully you've never heard anybody in this company say a competitor doesn't do something, because my belief is that we have no idea. Technology keeps changing all the time. And so like if I say some competitor's name doesn't do something today, they might come out with it tomorrow and then I would look like a fool. I can say in general, from general discussions and monitoring and, you know, looking at some of the public results and, you know, the public tracking of websites and things like that, that, you know, we're doing comparatively well in terms of the amount of technology that we're releasing. I think it's our core differentiator is that we just develop software better and faster. And what that does is it gets more features into your all's hands, and then that enables you to be better, and you know the whole cycle kind of continues back around, because then that makes you pay us more money, which allows us to hire more great developers like Rich and Ryan and Jonathan and Phil and so forth, and ship you more software. So it's this virtual cycle that we seek to jumpstart. And really, our competitors have nothing to do with that.
Cool. And then I think that's kind of towards the end of the questions, but I think just to wrap up, could you just go over, explain RunSignup, GiveSignup, and you know what our new branding and kind of our new way of talking about our company as RunSignup, GiveSignup means? Yeah,
so as is my habit, I'll probably give a little bit too much context and too much history here, but you know, we created RunSignup over 10 years ago now. We saw a need in the marketplace for good technology that was open and easy to use, and self-serve and, all those good things, and really brought people together, all the different tens of thousands of micro communities in the endurance business. What I saw a couple of years ago is that, we're kind of in that 20 or 30% market share, and we'll probably go up to around 50% market share in terms of the endurance space. It's tough to take an entire market. There will always be competitors. So, so what that, if you look at our 2019 numbers, we did about $270 million of transaction volume, that we processed for you, our customers. And so what that says is that we'll grow to around $500 million of transaction volume. And so, but it was going, the slope was going to kind of start to flatten out in terms of our growth. And simultaneously, and so like I felt like, well, does it make sense to figure out ways to continue to grow the business, to provide opportunity for employees and so forth? And so on that side, I was like, yeah, we should do that. Simultaneously with that, a lot of our customers are nonprofits, and a lot of our customers like our technology, and they start asking us for, hey, can we do donations outside of a race? Hey, could we do fundraising outside of a race and do a birthday fundraiser or something like that? Could we do like tickets for our gala or golf outing or a pancake breakfast? And so we saw this as like this really good opportunity, to be honest with you. The giving market is much larger than the endurance market. And so it was about a year and a half ago, we started developing technology specifically for the nonprofit market. We had always had, donation fundraising capability that, if you attended any of the sessions today, is pretty kick-ass. But we wanted to expand that beyond, just thinking of that within the context of a 5K or a marathon or something. So we started developing the technology last year. Basically, what's happened is that last year we announced this, the GiveSignup brand, and I view it very much as a brand because it all is on the exact same technology base. So it's all on the same foundation of the database. It's all on the same foundation of how we do payment processing. It's all on the same foundation of how we take a web interaction and do some programming and process that and spit it out the other side. So the same photo platform that you see in races today, you're going to see it in our nonprofit ticket platform as a tangible example of that. So it's one single platform. Some of that technology is kind of more specific to nonprofits, and it's outside of the endurance. So nonprofit tickets is a good example of that, or a donation form is a good example of that. Some of the technology we build, like Racejoy or like race day scoring, is very much targeted at the endurance market. So we've gotten to a size that we can afford to, and because we have this common platform that's kind of a shared resources, if you will, so it makes it economical to continue to build. On top of that, we will have these solutions for nonprofits. And a nonprofit may start by using us as like a real 5K that happened last year. And this year, they're going to use us as a challenge and as a virtual event. And then at Giving Tuesday, they're going to use us as their donation platform. And then next year, they're going to open up a birthday challenge type of website that will enable all of their supporters to come and do that. We really do view it as the same platform. So you've started to see that we've kind of merged the two logos together, and you're going to see that be more and more consistent. We're going to refer to it more and more as the combined company. And from a business point of view, what our strategy is to basically upsell our base, to be blunt about it. So there's 8,000 nonprofits who utilize RunSignup, who like our technology, and a number of them could benefit from the other pieces of technology that we're developing for them. And so in the past month, we've hired 3 new reps that are going to go out and help our existing customers kind of understand the benefits of these new capabilities. So we're counting on you to replace your stupid PayPal donation forms with really nice donation forms. We're counting on you to upgrade from Eventbrite for your gala tickets to something that can, really drive your donations and things like that.
Amanda's gonna make sure they do.
And well, it's really the customer's choice, right? Yeah. And so I feel like we have the technology, and we're basically starting to invest in the education of our customer base, and then we're hoping that you tell your friends and that it expands from there.
Cool. So I think that's all the questions. Just to repeat, we will email out all the recordings and slides and session notes from today. Johanna, I don't know what she's gonna say tomorrow.
Get on that, Johanna.
They'll be sent out tomorrow, but I will be honest, it will probably be late in the day tomorrow by the time all the videos get processed and uploaded. So don't look for them first thing.
Yeah, it's well.
So yeah, and hopefully you all appreciated this. It was useful. I think it was useful for us. We were able to talk to hundreds of our customers simultaneously. We're able to create content that's reusable, that will help educate people and so forth. Keeps us all on the same page. So hopefully it's good, and we'll probably do these every couple 3 months, 1-day sessions. As long as we can't really physically get together.
Maybe even after. Nice.
Probably after as well. We're going to be leveraging this more, with this onslaught of new customers that we have. We're going to be instituting these more regular kind of startup webinars and things like that to help educate people on our platform. So hopefully it'll work out and be helpful for people. All right, that's it. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, everybody at RunSignup that presented today. Thank you, everybody at RunSignup that makes all our great technology and helps all of our customers and processes payments and everything. Bye.